Greetings, programs. Welcome to Hydaelyn's Heroes, the Final Fantasy XIV podcast, where whether you're a warrior of light or warrior of darkness, all are welcome on the star we call home. And we have a special edition of the episode. It's not Friday. We're on a Monday. We're recording this on a Monday. What's wrong with us? Greetings, programs, to those in chat. Hello, Mannequin. We have a special edition. There's job changes for the patch, and Piers and I wanted to get together and go over them. So, without further ado, here is the Xenos to my Warrior of Light, Mr. Piers Harvey. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, that's very, very appropriate, right? Xenos, okay. Yeah, I like being Xenos. His status is unknown at the moment. Probably dead. But I'm doing all right, man. It's a fine Monday night, and there looks like to be some juicy stuff in these patch notes, so I'm excited to do a shorter but more concise but interesting discussion with you today.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So let's do it.
I think job changes are one of the most exciting parts of 14 patches.
100%. Yes.
I mean, I love all the content, but seeing updates to your loved job or class or whatever you want to call it, hell yeah. I want to dive right into it. You've already peaked some, so I mean, what are your top two jobs that you hope you get changes? I know Reaper's one of them. What's the other one?
Reaper was one of them. I was hoping that Red Mage would get something, but I guess
womp womp.
A little bit of spoiler alert. They think all the casters are fine where they are right now, so that's fine.
I kind of agree with them. I mean, I think they've been in a pretty good spot in these last two patches, so
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good. So let's dive right into it, all right?
Let's do it.
All right. Right off the top, they're going to talk about tanks. Tanks, yo!
Let's do it.
Tank roll actions. Provoke. Enemy generated has been increased on provoke. That's good, I guess, right? Is that maybe so that it less chance of hot swapping, like you provoke and then your other person automatically takes it back if they're doing a fell cleave?
Yeah, from how I understood provoke, it was always like it would put you on top of enmity, but it would only give you a very small amount of enmity over the person who was on top.
Yeah.
So like now it's gonna, I guess, give you a pretty decent chunk of enmity over whoever had first. So yeah, it should just make swapping a lot easier and less stressful.
You still want to shirk, though.
Of course, you're still going to want to shirk, but there are situations where maybe shirk's not available, and this is like the final phase of phase 7 of DSR, where
because
there's a lot of tank swapping that has to go on. Gotcha. Yes, I think this will be a big help for the tanks in that situation. So I like that change a lot. That's really good.
All right. So that's it for roll actions for the tanks. Paladins, though, they're getting some significant buffs here. Holy Spirit, Blade of Faith, Blade of Truth, Blade of Valor, all getting nice potency buffs. I guess they were lacking in DPS. I guess they were the bottom. Were they not, of the DPS?
They were. Yes,
okay.
Paladins were on the bottom. This should bring them up, but as we go on, I think a lot of not warriors, a lot of tanks are getting some potency buffs, which is really interesting that they're doing this, but this is good for Paladin. I mean, Paladin's already been good. I'm pretty sure Paladin was in the world first of DSR, I think. Don't quote me on that.
They were in that race, yeah, and holding their own, so it's not like they can't do the content.
Exactly. Paladins have been strong. They're always going to be strong. This is just going to add a little bit more punch to their potency, so I'm happy to see that for Paladin. Good for them.
Yep.
So
we're going to swap over to the job action page to look at Paladin specifically. So yeah, the Holy Spirit's buffed up. Rick was at 560, still has the same cure potency. Blade of Faith, Blade of Truth, Blade of Valor, all buffed. That's pretty much all that's done to them. And then Provoke. Looks like their melee mastery has been updated, so their physical is also getting potency buffs that weren't mentioned in the patch notes. So Fast Blade, Riot Blade, Royal Authority, all getting potency increases. So hooray. And Atonement. Everything's getting buffed up. So awesome.
Interesting. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Marauder Warrior. Looks like their main physical combo, Maim to Maim, Storm's Path, and Storm's Eyes. So the second and both thirds are getting slight buffs. They were third, I guess, if we want to call it, in the DPS. So doing okay. And Shake It Off has its action being applied more quickly. Kind of in line with like healers and their shields, where as soon as they cast it, boom, they have a shield on the party. I'm guessing that's why they're doing that too.
Yeah, Shake It Off is just a quality of life thing and just makes it so it's a lot more intuitive to use. Like you said, just kind of snapshots the shield right as you press the button, which is really, really good because Shake It Off is a great ability. What we also have to remember about Warrior as well is that the change coming to the automatic direct hit and direct crit attacks will be affecting Warrior a lot.
Yes.
And they have not, at least from what we see here, they have not changed the potency of Fell Cleave or
Nor
any
should
of those
they really.
So I think that is also an indirect buff to Warrior. So yes, these potency increases may not seem as crazy as you think right now, but they might end up being rather potent when we see how the interaction between these direct crit attacks now are affected by not just raid buffs, but by your statistics as well, as in your crit statistics and direct hits are supposed to increase the damage of those attacks even more. So hopefully Warrior's in a better place than they are. I mean, Warriors, again, another job that's really, really solid. Home gang is super duper powerful, especially in DSR. I know home gang is probably going to be really powerful in the upcoming raid tier because it always is. So Warrior's always going to have a place that's doing really well again. So hopefully we see some more Warriors coming out and playing. Warrior's my favorite tank personally, so I'm really excited to see these changes and see how they play. So let's check up with the job guide here. Let's see.
Yeah. So the MAME Berserk got updated. I'm not exactly sure what changed with Berserk, which becomes inner release, right?
It does, yes.
So I'm not exactly sure what they changed here. They said they were going to explain their changes, and I'm not seeing that anywhere. So I don't know if it's a duration issue. Has this additional effect, Inner Strength, always been here? Inner Strength, Nullifying Stun, Sleep, Bind, Heavy. Yeah, that's always been there. Okay. Additional effects, Surging Tempest extended by 10 seconds. I think that's part of the kit already.
Yes.
Grant's Primal Rend ready for 30 seconds. That's been there. So I'm not sure. Oh, they're putting in the ability, the clarification about critical hit and direct hit. That's what that's in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. So same with Chaotic Cyclone, because that's an automatic crit hit, direct hit. Inner Chaos, I believe, is the same issue.
Correct, yeah.
Primal Rend is the same.
Rend,
yeah. Yep. There's Provoke, and I'm guessing... Oh, no. Okay. So the buffs to MAME, Storm Paths, and Storm Eye is actually coming in the form of the melee mastery. So at 84, you'll get those buffs.
Gotcha.
Okay. Alrighty. Moving on to Dirk Knight. Not much here. Just a couple things. Abyssal Drain. That's the AoE. AoE cast. I'm like losing my train of thought here. It's getting late. That also steals HP, right? It's getting a significant potency buff from 150 to 240. I don't feel bad about that because it's such a long cooldown. Isn't it 1 minute?
It's 60 seconds. It's on the same cooldown as well as Carbon Spit. So you use Abyssal Drain instead of Carbon Spit when you're in a AoE situation. And yeah, that's a pretty solid increase to its AoE. And that's it's AoE damage, I should say. So yeah, that's cool. Just make Dark Knights better in packs. So
is the healing based off damage done?
I don't know. I'd have to check that. Maybe we can check on the job guide.
We'll check on the job guide.
But yeah.
Living Shadow effect duration has been reduced from 24 to 20 seconds, so it's not up as long. Will now always attack the first target the player attacks after it is summoned. Will no longer attack with Quietus. Okay. So I guess it's just going to be an AoE or just single target. Shadowbringer potency increased from 450 to 500. That's good. And potency of all other actions increased from 300 to 350. So it looks like that is a significant increase for Living Shadow.
It seems to be a buff just overall to Living Shadow. I don't see how losing 4 seconds is going to in any way nerf the amount of potency that you're gaining from the Shadowbringer
Yeah.
and from all of the other attacks.
Mhm.
I think what this is also doing is it's making it a lot more intuitive to use Living Shadow, because a lot of times you'll use it and then maybe the boss will jump away and you
Yeah.
won't get the full duration of it and it feels really bad.
We're on the
Now
same
when you're
page.
reducing you're reducing the timer and you're getting that damage out from your Living Shadow faster. So, or not faster, but you're getting the full damage of it in a shorter amount of time.
The damage is being compacted. Yeah, compacted into 20 seconds instead of 24. So yeah,
I think
that's good.
This is good for Dark Knight for sure. Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's take a look at the job section here. Just scrolling through. Abyssal Drain. Cure potency is fixed. It's just 200. So.
Gotcha. And so no more, it won't heal you as much, but I think what they're also doing with that Abyssal Drain is because the Living Shadow isn't going to do Quietus anymore, they're putting more of the AoE potency on the Abyssal Drain.
Okay.
So you're still hitting hard, right?
You're still hitting hard and the threat's going to you. Gotcha. Okay. And Living Shadow, there's its changes. Provoke's there. And updating text on Enhanced Living Shadow and Living Shadow 2.
Cool.
Okay. Yep. That's it for Dark Knight. Gunbreaker. A lot of little quality of life stuff and some DPS increase. Brutal Shell, Solid Barrel, both going up just a smudge. And of course, in combo potency, even better. So the Rip, Tear, and Gouge, their range is being increased by 2 yalms. I like that. That's good. Sometimes it feels kind of icky to be closer than melee range. That max melee, you have to be just a smudge closer for whatever reason. So this is nice that it's getting that. Your thoughts on those? You play much Gunbreaker?
One of the biggest problems with Gunbreaker is that it's very difficult to move the boss when you're in your Gnashing Fang combo.
Gotcha.
So increasing the range to 5 yalms is going to make it a lot easier for you to be able to move the boss and still be able to get off your OGCDs from your Gnashing Fang combo. I legitimately think this is the only reason they increased the range of those abilities, is so you can weave those in while moving the boss at the same time. So
yeah,
I
it's
like
just
this
a smudge. It's just a smudge, but you can move back 2 yalms every little bit.
Yeah. That's great.
Come 7.0, that whole combo will be ranged, so it won't be a matter.
Probably.
Faded Circle potency bumped up a little bit. That's okay. I just got Faded Circle, so I was like, thank God I finally got a powder gauge spender for AoE. Bloodfest recast time has been increased from 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
So a nerf to Bloodfest. Interesting. This is interesting.
Bloodfest is which ability?
The automatic powder gauge. So
Gotcha.
it gives you 3 at level 90. You'll just automatically get 3 powder gauge when you use it.
So now it's just going to be in line with the 2 minute.
Yes,
2 minute window.
This is an interesting change because it is a nerf to Bloodfest, but it is going to line it up with all of your No Mercies. Where in the past, it would drift kind of from they wouldn't all be lined up with No Mercy. Now they will always be lined up with No Mercy, and I think they are compensating that loss in recast time, or the increased recast time, with potency from other abilities. So I think overall Gunbreaker should at least be doing around the same damage. They're getting very little potency increases with their main combo here, it looks like.
Yeah.
And with things like, as we'll see here, Blasting Zone. But hopefully this 30-second increase does not nerf Gunbreaker that much. I mean, it was already number 2 on damage as is. It was already sitting pretty well. And now with this increased range to their Gnashing Fang combo, it'll make it a lot more fun to play the job. I know a lot of people complained about not being able to move the boss that well in Gunbreaker. So they were sitting kind of pretty. Gunbreakers were. I know a lot of Gunbreakers still do feel like the job is way too busy.
It is very busy.
Too many buttons to press. It's very hard to weave in your defensives when you need to weave them in, especially when you're in your Gnashing Fang combo. So there are some fundamental They're fundamental things about Gunbreaker that they could alter, but those are things that really probably need to be addressed at a main patch, like a 7.0 and 8.0.
Sure.
So at least alleviating some of the more annoying parts of Gunbreaker now is probably the way to go. And I like how they're at least addressing some of those things here. But we're not done all the way. So hopefully, again, like I said, to reiterate, the Bloodfest thing isn't that much of a nerf to Gunbreaker, but I guess only time will tell. So.
Hypervelocity also getting that range increase. Blasting Zone getting a slight buff, probably because of Bloodfest. And Double Down, reduction in potency after the first target has been changed from 20 to 15%. Is Double Down an AoE?
Yeah, it is. So
okay.
This is a buff to Double Down in AoE situations.
Okay.
And yeah, Double Down hits like an effing truck, and the fact that it only is going to be reduced, so you're only going to be doing 85% of that Double Down damage is pretty crazy. You're still going to be obliterating packs of mobs with Double Down. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Dragoon jump action. Actually, let's take a look at the job guide real quick just to see if there's anything else there. Brutal Shell, talked about Solid Barrel. There's the combo, Faded Circle, Bloodfest, Blasting Zone. Again, they didn't really explain their reasonings like they said they were.
I'm hoping they come out with that later. Maybe it's a delayed thing, right? Maybe they're gonna add it because they can't just say that and not do it, right? I mean, I guess they could, but just kind of.
I was like, silly. We're gonna put that there. They put it on the website and then they just forgot to do it.
Yeah.
So Hypervelocity is the continuation part of my Gunbreaker is only 70, so
yes. So you'll eventually get when you use I forget what the ability is called, but the one cartridge spender that's not Gnashing Fang.
Blast charge or what? It's right here. It's here somewhere.
Right there. Why don't you look it up? I feel bad. I don't play as much Gunbreaker.
Burst Strike.
Right
Burst Strike.
Burst Strike. Yeah, it's your OGCD after Burst Strike, right? Yeah. So it's the same concept. You'll be able to pull the boss after a Burst Strike, right? So you hit the Burst Strike, and then as you're pulling the boss back, you can weave in the Hypervelocity.
Gotcha. All right, and then there's the Provoke, and so the buffs will take effect at level 84 with Melee Mastery. Gotcha.
Cool.
All right, Dragoon.
Going down to the Dragoon.
This action will no longer be replaced by Mirage Dive while under the effect of Dive Ready.
They're reverting this change. Yep. Thank God.
Yep. Yeah. I always found it a little bit weird because I always felt like I needed to push it again, but it probably should be its own button, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes, it should be. I think I'm not really sure. Maybe Dragoons in the chat, hit us up. Can let us know, but just as a casual Dragoon player, I always like having a separate button because I feel like I have more control over it. But I mean, I don't think it's
too easy to double tap it.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the biggest problem, right? Yeah. Is that it's too easy to double tap, and so you're not going to be able to do that anymore. So, from
most combos I see, you want to get your jump off as soon as possible so you can have your Mirage Dive. But it can sit there for like 15 seconds. So you don't want to actually double tap it when you're not ready for it. Because usually you want to get your Skogul off and then do your Mirage Dive and set things up for your next burst window in 2 minutes.
Yeah. And, as a casual Dragoon player, the button bloat for Dragoon was never that bad that it needed to get rid of that button. So like if it was really bad, then it would, maybe combine the buttons, but it never was bad enough that I felt like it was absolutely necessary that they had to reduce the bloat.
Yeah. So. Their problem is not button bloat; it's OGCD bloat. They just have. I think they've got to be up there with Astro as the busiest jobs in the game, right?
That's very true. Yeah, their amount of button presses per minute is crazy. They have so many OGCs to press; it's absurd.
Yeah, and mine's only at 70, and I'm feeling it. And I know there's Stardiver and all sorts of different stuff to do. So it's like, oh my God.
Absolutely. Again, that's another fundamental job thing that they can probably address in a major patch or a major expansion, something like that.
We've heard from Yoshi that Astro and Dragoon 7.0. Please look forward to it. Let's just take a quick look at Dragoon on the old chart here. They changed Life Surge. What did they change about Life Surge? This is regarding the critical hit and direct hit. because that makes your next melee attack a crit. So it's going to do your true thrusts are going to do more damage.
Yes. Yep.
Let's see. Jump. I talked about that. And the Mirage Dive, their own buttons. High jump and Mirage Dive, own buttons. And that's it for Dragoon. All right.
Yes, Dragoon, I mean, it's doing good damage, and it brings the utility, so it's fine where it is right now. It's just, like you said, the OGCDs, that's really the only biggest problem with it. So
yeah, if you can manage to deal with all those buttons and pressing them, and I guess not button bloat, it's OGCD bloat. It's too many things to do. If you could do it, it's a fun job. I like playing it.
For sure.
Samurais! Did they put Kaiten back?
Nope.
No.
Did not revert that change.
Damn it.
I was hoping, I was crossing my fingers since they reverted the Dragoon thing that they were going to bring back Kaiten, but I think that's too big of a thing for them to do just automatic. Maybe we'll see it again. I hope we do, but as for right now, sorry, still no Kaiten.
So two of their Hisatsu are getting potency buffs. Gurren being buffed instead of doing a 50% fall off, it's now only 25, so much better in AoE. Goken getting a buff in AoE. I guess samurais just need to help in AoE. So
apparently, yeah, these are all specifically AoE buffs. Obviously Tenka Goken and Kaishi Goken being the two sticker spender. That is the AoE. I think the fact that they changed it from a cone to a circle around them is the stupidest thing ever. I think it looks really dumb.
It does look weird.
Samurais use Tenka Goken now, but it's getting buffed. So
because their ability marker is still the cone, right?
Yes,
they didn't change that.
It just doesn't. I understand it's to make it easier to hit everything when you're in an AoE situation. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Anyway, I always thought it
was part of the skill of the job, because the first attack in that combo, the AoE combo, is still conal.
I think they might have changed that attack. I forget what it's called.
Well, last time I played Samurai, which was just a couple weeks ago.
We'll check the job ability thing, or the job, the guide.
All right.
Anyway, for Hisatsu Q10, that's obviously their 25 gauge spender. They just spam that out. It's kind of like the Shin 10 of AoE, so that's getting a buff. And then Gurren is their big attack. It shares a recast with Sene. That's the one where they just like swing their katana and a big blade like beam comes out and just hits everything in front of them in a cone or it might not be a cone, or it might be a rectangle still. So they haven't changed that.
Yeah, I think
that's also getting a buff to from going from half the damage to now 75% of the damage you're doing. So cool.
Good stuff. Yeah. Let's look at the jobs things here. Yep, there's the spammable up to 120, so a little bit more damage on the spammable, and you really do spam that thing when you're playing Samurai now. It's crazy. Gurren, yep, there we go, down to 25% less. Awesome. Ogi Namakiri. Oh, this
direct crit.
The direct crit thing. Yep. Okay, Namakiri is the direct crit. Goken Madare is the direct crit issue, and oh my goodness,
Hisatsu, or no, Kaishi
Setsugeka.
Yes.
That's also regarding. I gotta take a drink.
Japanese is hard, man. I understand. Not that I know any of it. I just kind of know how to pronounce some of it, even though I'm sure a native Japanese speaker would think I'm speaking
damn gringo.
Yes.
Wait, that's Spanish. Anything other changes here? Nope. Okay, looks like Samurai's done. So yeah, big AoE buff. I guess they were needing it. Not that it really matters in raids, but
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar enough with Samurai to know if this is like an increase to 2 targets. I'm not sure. I'd have to look. Probably not an increase on 2 targets. Probably still going to want to do single targets on Samurai, but I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I guess Samurai, like you said, just needed some help doing those ad packs and dungeons or something. So have fun.
And maybe this will really come to a head when we get the Criterion dungeons.
Yeah, for sure.
Reapers, go for it, dude.
Reaper's just getting buffs across the board to its 1, 2, 3. That's it.
That's
so
it.
20 potency to slice, 20 potency to waxing, and 40 potency to infernal. So we actually do hit these buttons quite a bit. So this will be a pretty decent chunk of damage over what we used to be doing. So this is good, especially since it's the only melee buff that's really like a significant single target thing is to Reaper. So I know Reapers were lagging behind a little bit in that single target. So hopefully this should bring them back up to at least be in line with some of the other melee DPS. So,
and like you said, it's their main combo. It's what they're gonna do most of the time, right?
Yep.
Until they get into Shroud and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. I still haven't unlocked it. I know.
It's a lot of fun, but yeah, I know you have your method to your madness. So
yeah. Machinist. Rook auto turrets. Duration no longer increases to a maximum of 15 seconds. Is now fixed at 9 seconds. Oh, okay. Are they gonna... Base potency has been reduced from 70 to 35. Potency now increases as battery gauge. Oh, okay. So it's gonna stay up a fixed amount of time, and your battery gauge is gonna increase its potency.
Mm-hmm.
Overdrive reduced from 320 to 160. Battery gauge is gonna increase that back up to its base. Rook overload down to 160. Battery gauge. Automaton Queen will now always attack the first target. Duration no longer increases to a maximum of 20 seconds. It's now fixed at 12. Again, these are kind of changes like the Living Shadow, where if you don't get it out and the boss jumps up, then you're like, oh, son of a... you lose all that DPS. Potency on Roller Dash, which I'm not familiar with, now increases... Oh, this is part of the Queen. Battery gauge required minimum of 240 up to a max of 480. And Arm Punch potency now increases battery gauge exceeds required cost. A minimum of 120 up to a max of 240. Overall, this seems like a nerf to me.
We'll have to see what this does with Machinist. That's that's all I have to say. We'll have to see, because I'm not sure what this is going to do, because they are cutting potency, but also cutting the timer. So like fixing the timer. So I don't know what this is going to do. I don't know if you're still going to want to press your queen every time you have 50 gauge, if it's going to be worth it to save up gauge so you get more damage out of it. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be a one-to-one thing. Like you'll get the same amount of damage if you hit it at 50 as if you hit it at a 100, or if you hit 50 twice or as if you hit it at 100 once. Like I don't know if it's going to be a one-to-one thing like that.
There's going to need to be some math experts on that. It seems like it's... I think they're just what's the word I'm looking for? Not fixating. Stabilizing the damage of the Rook, maybe. Yeah, I don't... It just feels really weird.
I don't think they would nerf Machinist, especially where it is right now. Like, Machinist is already memed on pretty hard.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this is not just a not just a quality of life thing to make it more easy and intuitive to interact with your queen, or your Rook if you don't have queen unlocked.
Because I know before you wanted to do it at 50, because you wanted to have multiple, because that would be DPS. So if they're just doing this so that if you go over it, it doesn't feel bad.
Right. Yeah,
so
I guess that makes sense.
The potency just goes up. So it's no loss as bad as...
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
It does make sense.
I'm hoping that's what they're doing with it. So I guess, again, we'll just have to see how it works in action. But really interesting Machinist change. I was not expecting this, nor was I expecting the Living Shadow thing. But I'm hoping it makes those jobs a little bit more fun and intuitive to play. So
I'll have to ask our resident Machinist ourselves, Sim, what he thinks about that, and we'll get back to you guys on that one on Friday. Well, let's check the old list here. Reassemble. That's regarding the correct direct hit. So many jobs that have the correct direct hit.
Yeah,
The auto turret changes. Automaton Queen. Queen Overdrive. Arm Punch. Roller Dash. Pile Bunker. Crown Collider. I guess another issue with this is again that issue where if you know the boss is going to jump, like it doesn't feel bad to save your battery and keep building it.
Yeah, that's true. Are they adjusting the potency of roller of Pile Bunker and Queen Collider? It does not say in the patch notes. Or Crown Collider, I should say. What's it say in the job guide?
Arm Punch, Roller Guide, Crown Collider, Delivered Attack 390, potency increases battery gauge exceeds required. So that is going to change.
It's getting the same thing as everything else. Why is it not in the patch notes then? That's really strange.
That's Pile Bunker is the same. Crown Collider.
Yeah. So, those are the two finished.
It's got to be an issue where, you know that the boss is gonna jump in 20 seconds, and you don't feel bad. Like keep building your gauge, because you're gonna get the potency out of it. I just don't know if this is gonna be a DPS nerf or not. So we'll have to get with our boy Sim, and we'll get back to you guys on that one. White Mage, Lily Bell, as I call it, Liturgy of the Bell. Effect duration has been increased from 15 to 20 seconds, so straight up buff.
That's good.
More pings, so that's good.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems with Liturgy of the Bell is getting the full. What am I trying to say here? It's because the way that it interacts, right? Like the White Mage itself needs to be hit by damage for the bell to pulse out the healing, right? And there are very few situations in the game where the White Mage is going to get hit 5 times in 15 seconds and get all of those pulses out to heal the whole group. Now, I know once the 15 seconds would go away, it would pulse out whatever charges it had left and give you a pretty decent bulk heal. But now, with the 20 seconds, it's just going to allow more situations where the White Mage can get hit and for the whole party to get that bell heal. So overall, again, really solid change to Liturgy of the Bell. I'm glad they're doing it. I still feel like 3 minutes is way too long of a cooldown for that damn ability, but that's a hill I'm willing to die on, especially when a lot of the other healer ultimates are only 2 minutes, like Macrocosmos. I feel like Liturgy needs to be dropped down to 2 minutes as well. I do understand it's very, very powerful in the situations that it's powerful in, but I do think it needs to be 2 minutes. But that's all I'll say with that. Anyway.
I mean, Panheima's 2 minutes, if I'm recalling correctly. So
Panheima is, and so is Expedient. So, yeah.
All right, Scholars. Basically, just to put it easy, their fairy abilities will no longer generate enmity. They're not going to get threat from the fairy abilities. Yay! That's good.
Yep, and Fey Union, I'm guessing, is the
tether.
It's kind of like tether. That's the tether, right? The regen, right? So when it's targeting and regenning whoever it's getting, it's not going to generate enmity towards the Scholar. So cool. Yeah, cool beans.
Good stuff.
Look at this change for Astro, though.
Change for what?
Look at this change to Astro, though.
Okay, I will.
Thank God.
I'm checking the Scholar, though, just the job page real quick, just to make sure there's nothing hidden. Because we found
didn't check White Mage either. Or did you check White Mage?
We did not. I will. Seraphic Veil. Is that on here? Yes, that is on there. Will not generate enmity. Okay. The unit, no enmity. And that's it. Okay. And just double check White Mage. Make sure there's no hidden shenanigans like with Machinist. Liturgy. And that's it. All right. Astrologian. The card drawn will never have the same astro sign as the card presently held. Oh, hell yes. And 1,000 Astros rejoiced. That is awesome.
Thank God. It was so annoying to get the same seal over and over. Now, I'm hoping this is going to assure that you always get a 3 seal Astrodyne.
Yeah.
Astrodyne has its problem as an ability. I don't think it's potent enough to be an actual Astro ability. I think they need to do something else with seals. I'm going off target. I do think that this is great, so you can always assure yourself that 5% potency when you get Astrodyne.
I mean, you could still get the same seal on the first, but your redraw will always be one you don't have.
Yes.
So you're always assured on your third draw and then redraw to have 3.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is just going to make it a lot easier, so thank God.
So there's still a little bit of RNG, but it's not something that cannot be overcome now.
Yeah.
Minor Arcana action now changes to the drawn Arcanum. So they got rid of the play the card from the Arcana, right? Arcana play Arcana.
They are reverting the change to jump and high jump for Dragoon, but they're adding this change to Astro. It's I don't know, Square Enix. I don't know why you do what you do.
Astro, I think, does need a reduction in button bloat. I think it always needs a reduction button bloat because of the card system.
I think most of the healers actually need a reduction in button bloat. It's very hard for me to do healing on controller, but that's
well, you don't use the W extended Ws.
I don't. I know.
You should learn it.
Yeah.
Let's just double check and make sure there's no extra shenanigans with Astrologian. There's the redraw. Very awesome. And minor Arcana. So this is the double taps change. You could accidentally double tap. Okay. All right. That's it for them. Sage Cardia no longer generates enmity when activating its HP restoration effect. Thank you. Thank you so much. You don't have no idea how many times in a dungeon or AoE point, the wall to wall to get to the boss, or wherever they stop us. And I'm trying to, AoE as we run along, and that's also healing my tank. Well, that little AoE apparently does enough threat on the heal plus the AoE to pull aggro from the tank, and I'm like, run away. So the damage will do enmity still, but the heal will not. So that's a welcome change. Thank you so much. And then Holos, the additional effect erects a magic barrier which nullifies damage, equaling the amount of HP restored, has been added with. I get a shield on Holos.
Holos just got better. Yeah.
Oh, it got sick better. Hell yeah.
I don't know how Sage deserves this, but I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too.
We're playing with a Sage in Savage, so yeah. This just.
Are you playing with a Sage in Savage? Are you? Oh yeah, you are. Me.
Are you changing jobs
that
I don't know about?
No.
Okay, it's what I thought.
Holos is dope.
Holos is only 60 seconds, correct?
I believe it's a 2 minute. It is a 2 minute.
Oh, okay. Well, still, even then, it's still that makes it so much more powerful, dude. That's insane.
300 potency heal, 300 potency shield. Yeah.
And 10% damage taken, right?
Yes, 10% for 20 seconds.
Dude. Amazing mitigation tool right here, dude. Crazy.
This I think fixes the complaint, especially if it's its own barrier of not having enough shields on these super big hits, because you do Holos and like a Zoe, Prognosis.
If this stacks with Prognosis and if this stacks with Panheima, then yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people want the Scholar because the Scholar brings the spread low. Well, now you have an option to bring a super powerful shield with the addition of this Holos. So nice. So I'm liking it.
Yeah, I am liking it too. So yeah, everyone says that sages can't do it. Guess what? They can now.
Mm-hmm.
A new trait has been added to Reaper. Increase the potency of slice. Okay, so this is
this is just the 1, 2, 3 increase.
Okay.
It's weird that they're adding this, but okay, cool.
Was I guess they don't want it to be super powered, before 84. Did they? Yeah, they didn't have this trait. This is a new trait.
I guess not. Yeah, I guess they don't want like Reapers rolling into like Ukop or Uwu and just like decimating the DPS check.
Yeah,
right.
And they would.
Reapers are already really good. In those. So.
The following action has been removed. Astrologian's crown play. Yep. Removing a button. And that is it. Overall thoughts, Piers, on the job changes.
Overall, there's nothing I can really complain about. We'll have to see what happens with Machinist. I think that's the biggest one that's up in
That's
the
my
air.
biggest concern too.
We'll have to see how that interacts with Machinist gameplay. But overall, everything that I see, okay. And the only other thing is the Bloodfest increased to 120. It does make it line up with buffs a lot better for Gunbreaker, but we'll have to see if that 30 seconds really does actually add up over time to be a DPS loss overall for the Gunbreaker. So we'll have to see how that goes as well. But again, overall, I think everything that was changed is really solid. Of course, Red Mage being my baby, I wanted to see some Red Mage something, but like I said, casters apparently are in a really good place. Looks like physical range are also in a really good place. Strangely enough, I know people want more damage out of physical range, but Greenix thinks that where physical range is right now is good. So overall, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So what are your thoughts? Anything that you want to add to the discussion about the job changes?
I've heard that Sage complaint. You know, that add low spread was such a superior tool to anything that Sage has. So having this, and again, if it stacks with a Zoe prognosis, I'm not even talking about Panheima because that's its own cooldown. If this can compete with an add low spread, yes, thank you, because I think that was the only real difference between the Sage and Scholar. Yes, you can argue about homogenization, but I do feel that they both play quite different. Where Scholar's kind of a turret healer, Sage is a little bit more mobile, which I appreciate. Yeah, I like the change. I think it puts us on par with them, and Scholar's strong. And the only reason I changed from Scholar to Sage is because I was tired of the book, and I'll keep saying it. I'll take my little pew pew laser. I forget the name of the weapon even.
Nuliths?
Nuliths, yes, the Nuliths. Yeah, I appreciate the Nuliths. I like what they can do, and I don't like books anymore. But sorry to ninjas, bards, and all the casters for not getting any sort of updates.
And Dancer.
Dancer did get a change, and that's the crit.
Oh, Starfall Dance. Okay.
Yeah, Starfall Dance, was one of those crit direct hit abilities. So it gets a little bit more damage off of its crits. So awesome. The main concern I had was Machinist. From what I see, it seems like a nerf initially, but it might just be a quality of life change for uptime purposes, I'm guessing. I do think that the DPS disparity in tanks is now a lot tighter. So, because it really shouldn't matter unless they're going to really separate what, you got main tank and off tank jobs, kind of like how they did pure healer and shield healer. Unless they're going to do that with tanks, they need to be, tighter in their DPS role. So, I'm glad that that's happening. And I'm glad that the Dark Knight, who it has been at the top, the whole expansion, didn't get buffed up too much. I think they're just right in line. So,
yeah, one of the biggest problems that I see with tanks overall is, like you said, I think there was too much of a disparity between the DPS, specifically with Dark Knight, especially compared to Paladin. I know there were a lot of groups who were going for parse runs in the last tier of Savage. Now that we've got a current tier coming up soon, that would specifically want double Dark Knight, because they knew double Dark Knight did so much more damage over bringing two of the different tanks that it was just worth it to bring two Dark Knights. So hopefully these potency increases to the other tanks will close that disparity and kind of get that silly two Dark Knight craziness out of here. Except I'm sure people will still want to bring the meta jobs and still want to bring the ones that bring the most damage. That's fine. There's always going to be a meta. There's always going to be jobs that do more damage, but seeing that disparity closed a little bit more is always a good thing in my book. So
yeah, I think it removes that talk of, no, you can't come because you don't do as much. Like, everyone's going to be fine on their damage. It's bring the player, not the job, exactly. In my opinion. And I do like the little bit of range extended for Gunbreakers. I hope I really hope that they're going to be able to maneuver a little bit better. It still is funky to move and get your combo off and get your, defensives. In that weaving window. But yeah, that might be for down the road, maybe an expansion. So we'll see. Anyways, that is going to be it for our special edition of Hydaelyn's Heroes special job edition review. Piers, where can people find you?
Well, I actually streamed today. It's the craziest thing. First time in a long time.
Yeah. You put out a guide. You put out a guide on stream.
I did. I need to get that VOD and then post it somewhere. But no, I do want to stream more often. How? Okay. Let me ask you a question. What did the stream look crisp? Like, was it fine or was it choppy at all? 'Cause that's my biggest problem.
It was a little bitty, but it might have been my computer because I was running like 4 things.
Okay, I'll have to try it.
Look at your VOD. Look at your VOD and you'll see the quality.
I will. Because I'm just worried about my Wi-Fi connection. But if it's looking good, then I definitely want to stream more often. Down at radio_Piers. It's my other hand because I'm opposite. I'm mirrored up here. So check me out there on Twitch. I'll be streaming. Hopefully, I know Tark gave me the suggestion that I should just pick a game certain days and just be good with my schedule. So I think I'm going to start doing that from now on. So definitely catch me there. Of course, I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV. We've got a new raid tier coming in a week. The week upcoming to the raid tier, we'll definitely have probably some extremes that we're going to do. Probably going to be doing the new dungeon, the new story. So if you want to hang out with me, if you want to do any of that stuff, come check me out on the Leviathan server, on the Primal Data Center, Piers Harvey, and we can do some fun stuff. But other than that, where can people find you, Tark, my man?
Pretty easy. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoth Gaming. If you're liking what you see here, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, hit subscribe for more content. But until next time, y'all take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And remember,
Master Control oversees all on the grid. End of line.
Goodbye, everybody.
Peace be with you.